Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 21st of October, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar, and we see here it has been sinking lower this last few days. So, dollar is short-term bearish, downside targets to play for. Of course, medium-term we are still below the cloud. The key thing is, was this a low? We've had a pretty bad week for the dollar. Looking at the weekly candle here. And by the way, this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart. It's my long-term, medium-term and short-term view of the market with the corresponding point and figure targets. If we look at the euro-dollar, of course that's been rising against that weaker dollar, so we're now starting to question whether that was a high for the euro and whether we can actually break this 120 level. Looking at sterling, we're at 130.56 against that weaker dollar, and against the euro, sterling is holding the 110 level just. We have weakened a little bit over the last couple of days, and we are still in a trend lower. Bitcoin's had a pretty good rise this morning, up 2%. So we are seeing Bitcoin now breaking to potentially 1-year highs. So that's always very positive and not far off making multi-year highs. So just watch that because Bitcoin is looking set to run. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we're weaker here, just nudging lower on the 60-minute cloud. We did actually close up in the end yesterday, but we're really struggling to break this previous high, and much the same of course for the Nasdaq as well, and we are just heading into slightly bearish territory there. So US election of course weighing heavily. The Dow was actually up 0.4%. The futures this morning in the US, the S&P future is 0.15% up, and the Nasdaq E-mini is 0.06% higher. So but we are seeing short term we are trending down a little bit there. The VIX volatility is ticking up. We're just nudging this 30 mark. That seems to be a pretty critical level for the VIX. This is the fear index of course, and as this rises that increases the likelihood of markets falling. And if we look at the FTSE future, it's down 1.4% in the UK. The cash market in Germany is down just over 0.5%, and the CAC 40 in Paris is down 0.5%. So we are just seeing markets just trending lower in Europe this morning. The Japanese market was up 0.2%, and the Hang Seng was up nearly 1%. So we're seeing a slightly better outlook here on the short-term chart. The long and medium-term views are still pretty bearish, and the Shanghai Composite was down slightly, so Chinese stocks just pausing. The Sensex in India was down 0.1%, so we are just seeing that's fairly flat as well, struggling to break that March high. It's really a standout, and also the Aussie market, much the same, really nowhere near the March high, although we are breaking at the moment to levels seen just after the collapse in March, so we are making 6-month highs there quite happily. Looking at Brent crude, we're down 1.6%, and we'll take a look at the energy mix in a minute, but for the moment we are in that holding pattern. Gold is looking bullish. It's up nearly 1% this morning, and we are just seeing that bullishness coming back. We're now at $1,920 with good upside targets on the 60-minute charts to play for, so it looks like gold's going to run now. Silver also up 2% this morning, looking stronger as well. And if we look at US 10-year yields, this is probably the biggest news of the day. We are making now 4-month highs. We haven't been really since June, we haven't been at this level, so actually we're nudging nearly 5-month highs, so looking pretty strong there, and targets really back to the sort of 1% area, which just were unimaginable when we saw the market sinking to nearly 1/3% in March. Looking at the energy mix in Europe, we mentioned Brent crude was down 1.6%. That's just sinking lower, favouring the downside. The fact that we're struggling after all these weeks to get to new highs does suggest we're entering weaker territory. WTI, much the same picture there. If we look at US nat gas, it's nudging $3 on the front month contract, so that's looking strong this week, breaking higher. We've got good upside targets there. We've got a target to $3, so don't be surprised to see US nat gas with a 3 in front of it, and it's been a little while since we've seen that. If we look at RBOB gasoline in the US, we see here we actually have had a little bit of a recovery yesterday, but we do still have downside targets hanging over us. The crude price, of course, weighing heavily. Coal is looking a little bit better this week, but again, we're just pausing, struggling to break the $61 mark. And emissions, we've been bearish on now for a couple of weeks, and we're sinking ever lower. We're sitting nudging 24, 25 this morning. Just a steady downtrend on emissions with downside targets. So carbon traders are seeing that that gain that we saw earlier in the year just now starting to fade away. European gas prices, we've got UK gas, natural gas, NBP front month is higher. That's pushing higher. It's down this morning, but the chart is still pretty spectacular. The same with TTF, nudging higher there, although we're down slightly this morning. Winter gas in Holland also down slightly. Gazpool bucking the trend, but this is yesterday's pricing on Gazpool. It's always a little bit behind the market, so we are just seeing that we're still holding the trend there. German power, we talked about yesterday. We did a post on LinkedIn, down 0.5% this morning, nudging 39.25. We can say goodbye to 40s now for a while. It's really breaking down, so power prices heading south again. And if we look at the quarterly contract, much the same picture there. French power actually also looking pretty bearish, just heading lower, and has been really the ugly duckling of the power markets in Europe for a little while. And we're also seeing the same in Dutch power. Nordic power has really been falling away, just falling further, and much the same with the quarterly contract as well. Czech power, you really need OTC pricing here, but it is sinking lower. And last of all, look at UK power just holding up. It's bucking the trend. That's it for today. Keep an eye on that oil price, down 1.4%. We really want to see these levels hold. Below $40 now is very significant for Brent crude if we break below that. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.